Good morning, friends. How are you today? Thanks for joining me as we continue to read our chapter book, Rosie Revere. This is a great chapter book by Andrea Beatty. So this week, we're all the way on chapter 16. Can you believe it? All right, let's remember what happened in chapter 15. Oh, that's right. Does that picture remind you? What was happening with Rosie in June? That's right, the Paint-A-Palooza worked. June was able to begin to paint without needing to use her hands. But the chapter ends with, then she wasn't. So I wonder what happened. The chapter starts with a quote, "The only true failure can come if you quit," from Aunt Rose. Chapter 16. It's page 91. "Ouch," she cried. "What happened?" asked Rosie. "My arm is sore," said June. She reached up again. "Ow! Maybe I should rest." She tried again a few minutes later. "Oh dear," she said, "my arms are too weak." Rosie's heart sank. June kindly smiled at her. "Rosie," she said, "I want you to finish the painting." Rosie shook her head. If anyone but June painted, she would be out of the contest. "Rosie," said June softly, "I want you to paint, truly." Rosie looked at June's face and knew she meant it. "I'm sorry it was too heavy," said Rosie. "The Paint-A-Palooza was perfect," said June. "I will use it to paint my kitchen when my arms are stronger." She laughed out loud and Rosie smiled. Rosie tightened her headscarf. She picked up the left glove and boom! An idea hit Rosie's brain like thunder. And what an idea! She took off the paint glove and handed it to Aunt Rose. "Don't let anyone touch my canvas," said Rosie. "I'll be back." And with this, Rosie ran down the street and was gone. Chapter 17. Rosie ran down Milk Lane past Wells Drive to Rain Street with Gizmo zooming behind her. She stopped to catch her breath, and then she went to Mrs. Lou's house. Rosie climbed the porch steps, then she took another deep breath. She was nervous. She knew how to help June, but she needed Mrs. Lou's help. What if Mrs. Lou said no? Rosie wished she was back at the library with Ada, Iggy, and the Riveteers. Here's a picture. It says, "The light, too heavy." Or no, not heavy. So this was the light one, which means not heavy. Oh, there's a feather. And this says heavy. See how it looks heavy? She almost turned around to leave, but then she thought about June. She had promised to do her part. Rosie had to be brave. "You can do it," Rosie said to herself. Gizmo perched on Rosie's shoulder and chirped. "I know," said Rosie, and she rang the doorbell. Rosie waited, no answer. She rang again, no answer. She knocked loudly. "Hello," she yelled, "Mrs. Lou." Silence. Rosie's heart sank. She turned away from the door. Suddenly, Gizmo flew in front of her. She flapped her wings furiously and looped the loop, blocking Rosie's way. "What's wrong?" asked Rosie. "Chirp, chirp, chirp." "Stop it, Gizmo, please," said Rosie. "Chirp, chirp, chirp." Crackle. Rosie heard a strange noise behind her. Crackle. "Hello," said a faint, scratchy voice. It came from a box in the corner of the porch. Rosie looked into the box. "Hello," she said. A metal, purple goose looked back at her with googly eyes. Crackle. "Stay there," said the scratchy voice. It came from the metal goose. Rosie leaned in closer. Just then, the door opened. Mrs. Lou stepped outside. She held a strange walkie-talkie handset. "Sorry," she said, "my goosey-talkie is not working." She pushed a button on the back of the goose. She clicked a button on her headset, and the goose's beak snapped open. Crackle! "Hello, hello," spoke Mrs. Lou into her headset, and her voice came out of the goose's mouth. "That's more like it." Then she tossed her headset into the box and smiled. "Hello, Rosie. Glad to see you." Rosie was shocked. Mrs. Lou was so friendly. Rosie thought about how Mrs. Lou had shut the curtains on her and how she sneaked like a shadow in the garden. Rosie looked at her neighbor and felt more nervous than ever. Yes, said Mrs. Lou. Rosie took another deep breath and remembered why she was there. "I need your help," she said. Mrs. Lou smiled. "I thought you'd never ask." And that's the end of chapter 17. Join us next time as we begin to read chapter 18. I wonder what work you'll be choosing next to continue your day. Think about it. What will be your next work? Always so fun to read with you, friends. Hasta luego.